Welcome to Therapy Explained. My name is Denise Cantor, and I'm the therapist of color for people of color. I post videos on all things mental health on Mondays and Wednesdays, and every video comes with its own cheat sheet so that you can put into practice what we talked about in every video. I make that cheat sheet available for you on Instagram, so make sure to follow me at TOC Therapy because after all, I am the therapist of color. If you're interested in receiving more videos about all things mental health, make sure to subscribe. And if you like what you hear, make sure to hit the thumbs up and share with anybody that you think might also find this video helpful. So let's jump to the meat of the video for today, which is the wellness staircase. So this mental wellness staircase is, of course, encompassed by 4 types of steps. But since it is a staircase, every time that you take a step, the higher and closer you get to overall wellness. So let's get started with the first step. The first step is basic needs. So what I mean by basic needs is the things that you need just basically to even get started on the more complicated, complex processing stuff that is mental health. As far as basic needs go, the first one is a safe space. So this can be a space inside or outside of your home. It's important for you to have a place where you feel welcomed and safe, and that could be your room, it could be a park, it could be a church, it could be an organization perhaps that you belong to. It can also be virtual, as long as it's a space that you feel safe in. Any therapist that you start going to will refer you to resources if you currently don't have shelter or a place to live, so that is a little bit different. But what I do mean by a safe space goes along with this idea. You do need shelter and you need a place to live, but if you have a hard time feeling safe anywhere, it will make it harder for you to manage a lot of the things that are coming up for you. That itself might be the reason why you're struggling with your mental health. The second part of the basic needs is your sleeping, eating habits. So if you're having trouble sleeping and if your appetite has changed, that is going to affect your mental health. If you're not getting enough sleep and you're not eating when you're supposed to, or perhaps you're sleeping too much or eating too much, it's going to affect your energy levels, your motivation. It might give you headaches, body aches, it'll make your stomach hurt, and it's hard to be present when we're hungry or sleepy or when we've overslept or overeaten. So it's important for us to be mindful of those patterns and habits of ours as far as sleep and eating goes. If you notice when you're hangry, right, that's a term because we do get pretty irritable when we're not giving our body what it's asking us to give it. So make sure that you're eating enough and that you're not eating too much and that you're eating healthy, and try to be mindful of your sleep schedule. You might be getting 8 hours of sleep, but if you're sleeping at midnight or at 2 in the morning, you're probably still gonna wake up groggy. And all this stuff has to do with our mental health because it's hard to concentrate, it's hard to problem solve. We can become very irritable, tired, and just really overall uncomfortable in our own bodies when we over or underdo our sleep and eating. In the same way, when we're struggling with our mental health, that affects our sleep and eating. Part of being diagnosed with major depressive disorder or a depressive symptom, or a depressive diagnosis means that your sleeping and eating habits have changed. That's something that a therapist is looking for when they're diagnosing you. So it is important to keep in mind that these two are very, very much intertwined. If you're struggling with depression and anxiety, that's going to affect your eating and sleeping habits, and your eating and sleeping habits will then also affect how heavy your anxiety and depression is going to be. So those are big red flags. I encourage you to keep an eye on those, and when you notice that there's a change and a shift, step back and think about maybe some of the things that might have been happening for you in your life that are affecting those habits, and try to get those back in line as soon as you can. If you have a therapist, this is probably also something that your therapist is checking in on you about, or your medical doctor or psychiatrist, because these are one of the first 2 things that are thrown off, or the most noticeable things that are thrown off when you're struggling with your mental health. Lastly, as far as basic needs go, I'm also going to include drinking enough water. When we don't stay hydrated, we end up getting some headaches. We again feel uncomfortable in our own body, and it's hard to concentrate. It's going to affect our mood if we're not drinking enough water. We're going to feel kind of sleepy and groggy as well. So it's important that we're making sure that we're staying hydrated. So that is another basic need. And I, of course, will always also check in with my own clients about all of these things. Are you having a safe space? Are you building a safe space for yourself? Are you eating and sleeping enough? And are you getting enough water? So this is the first step on my wellness staircase. The second step to my wellness staircase is coping skills. So coping skills like grounding and mindfulness are great for you when you're struggling with anxiety and depression, but they're also very good for us overall. Things like meditation and grounding bring us back into the moment. And a lot of the things that we struggle with are either the anxiety about what might happen or what could happen, or the depression from feeling like we're not able to change something that already happened. And so it's important for us to try to remain in this moment and help our body relax. This again is connected to our sleep and eating habits, because if we're anxious all the time, that might affect, like I mentioned, our appetite, and our body is going to be tense when we're anxious, or it's going to feel sore if we're depressed and we're not moving it. So it is important for us to adopt coping skills like exercise, meditation that will help us relax our bodies, and also other coping skills like journaling that will help us engage in self-reflection, and things like puzzling and gardening that will add more fullness to our lives and help us manage all of the triggers and stresses that we might be experiencing. For more information about how really good coping skills can be for you, make sure to check out that video. I'm going to go ahead and give you a link for that if you want to learn more about it and how to start developing your own very healthy coping skills. I also want to add that within coping skills, one of the biggest things that I've seen help people is routines and schedules or structures. Now, I don't mean that you have to plan out every hour of every day, but what's important is that you're creating kind of a rhythm for your body to follow. It's really helpful for your body to know what is going to come next. This could be like engaging in one or two things before bedtime and one or two things when you wake up every day. So whether that's when I wake up, I stretch my body and I have breakfast, that's more than enough. And it doesn't mean that you have to get up at a certain time. Some people do better when they wake up at 5 in the morning. Other people do better when they get up at 8 in the morning. And you can also have your routine be pretty slow. Like perhaps you get up at 8 in the morning and then you spend about 45 minutes in bed before you get up and stretch your body and have breakfast. It's okay to take it slow, but again, what's important is that you're consistent and that you're developing routines for yourself and your body. That way your brain and your body knows what to expect as the day goes on. And when we're stressed and anxious and depressed, it helps our body know, okay, even if everything else feels really overwhelming and is really crazy, I do know what to expect in the evenings and I do know what to expect in the mornings. And that gives us a sense of control and calmness by knowing what's coming next. So those are my very two favorite things to recommend, especially now during this pandemic, which has completely thrown off everybody's life and continues to do so until now. My third step in the wellness staircase is to make sure that we're allowing ourselves to have a moment for self-reflection. Yes, this is my pitch for therapy, and the reason why I think that therapy is so good for you is because, one, if you're in individual therapy, you're meeting with someone who gets to know you, who knows your patterns, your habits, your worldview, who understands some of the things that you might have gone through as a child and can be a much better help in developing healthy coping skills that are tailored specifically to you and your needs. Someone that gets to know you and to support you and to keep you accountable every week for taking care of yourself and getting to accomplish the things that you say you want to accomplish and learn. If you're in group therapy, it is wonderful because it also encourages you to practice self-reflection. In a group setting, it also helps us know that we aren't the only ones experiencing some of these things. Even though our experience itself is unique, the overall feelings of loss or grief or fear or anger aren't themselves unique, and there might be someone who shares some of the same experiences as us, and it helps us feel less alone. So that's why group therapy could be helpful. Both individual, group, and perhaps maybe family or couples therapy is very good because, again, it helps us develop this idea of self-reflection, which in turn develops insight and self-awareness. When we know what our habits are, that's how we can change them. If we're going through life just reacting to things that happen to us, we're not going to grow very much. So self-reflection is extremely important because we want to develop this ability to identify, oh, okay, that's what I'm doing. And then that's how everything else connects to my relationships, to the way that I respond to the world. And it's that also. It's changing our habits from reactive to responsive. So that's my pitch for therapy, whether it's individual, groups, couples, or families. It's important to have this support because it is with people who are trained and specialized in this particular field. Now, if it's not affordable to you or something that you can really do right now, you can still practice self-reflection through using tools that, for example, I have provided you with, yes, but other people online as well. There's coaches, there's also journaling, and you can just sit with yourself every week. Just block out a certain period of time where you can sit and just reflect on your week and how you're feeling and get yourself into that habit of identifying your emotions and your patterns. But again, this won't be the same as actual therapy because you're missing on the experience and the knowledge of someone who was trained to specifically help you with these things. And then, of course, my fourth step in this wellness staircase is medication. And now this is only if it's applicable, of course. And I don't just mean psychotropic medication or like antidepressants and medication for anxiety, but also other medication that has been prescribed to you by your doctor. It's important that you're taking care of your body because remember, our body and our mind are not two completely separate things. They are intertwined. So your body's wellness is also your mind's wellness. So make sure that you're taking any medication that has been prescribed to you, whether by a medical doctor or a psychiatric doctor. It's still important that you are keeping up with your medications and taking care of yourself. If you have any questions or concerns about your medication, I encourage you to talk to your doctor about it. That's super important. Remember, you are your team leader. If you have a therapist and a psychiatrist, you are the team leader. You call the shots. You get to decide, okay, this is where I want to go. This is what I like. This is what I want to accomplish. So don't feel shy. Even if we are the quotes professionals, it's still important for you to know because only you know you. You're the professional in you, and you know that best. So communicate with your therapist, your medical doctor, your psychiatrist about what you're feeling, what your questions are, what your concerns are. If they suggest something that doesn't work, say it. Or if there's something you want to try, say it. Again, remember, you are the team leader, and we have to follow your lead as your team. So as far as your steps go, let's review before we close. The first step is to make sure that your basic needs are met. This means things like having a safe space, eating and drinking when your body is asking you to drink water and to sleep. Make sure that you're listening to your body's cues. The second thing is to make sure that you're using coping skills. Take care of yourself and your body. As you're listening to what it needs, give it what it needs. Whether that's rest or going for a run, or maybe you need some journaling or meditation. Routines and structure are also very useful, so make use of those as needed. And remember, they don't have to be specialized. The third step is self-reflection. If you're able to afford it and it's accessible to you, engage in individual, group, family, or couples therapy. Developing insight and self-awareness will help you change the habits and patterns that are not serving you anymore. If you're not able to engage in those, you can also do things like journaling or coaching or some sort of other exercise that will help you with self-reflection, but you should know it doesn't include the mental health component, which is the most ideal. And lastly, take your medication, whether that's from your medical doctor or your psychiatrist. Make sure that you're keeping up with what your body needs. And I know that it's difficult sometimes to do things that feel restrictive, but it's important that you take care of yourself in all areas. Your body's well-being is also your mind's well-being. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to subscribe for more videos on all things mental health. Make sure that you like this video so that I know that you like this kind of theme and I can continue to provide you with these kinds of videos, and also share it with anybody that you think might need to hear this. Of course, your cheat sheet will also be made available to you today. So if you're watching this video, your cheat sheet is available for you on my Instagram at Talk Therapy. So that's TOC Therapy, because after all, I am the therapist of color. And I hope to see you in the next one.